Back now to the presidential race. With us from Capitol Hill, Republican Congressman Bob Good, who has endorsed Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Congressman, it's good to see you. We appreciate it. I feel like we're in this weird place in politics where even though Donald Trump is a rival to Ron DeSantis, we're now in the position where Ron DeSantis' supporters and even himself are having to, in one way or another, if not defend Donald Trump, at least attack Donald Trump's attackers, which is not typically what you do to rivals in politics.
Well, we're always in a weird place in politics, I guess I would say. But, Governor DeSantis just speaks truth. He governs with truth. He speaks truth. And quite frankly, what's going on with President Trump, I think, is an egregious political weaponization of justice or injustice against a political opponent. In times past, you would never have brought such a, by comparison, a trivial charge, if nothing else, against a sitting or former president. And it's interesting, Leland, we don't care about the classified documents that have been found at beside his Corvette in Wilmington, or at his Rehoboth Beach mansion, or at the Penn Biden Center funded by the Communist Chinese Party. Documents that were taken, by the way, when he was senator and had no ability to accidentally remove classified documents, or when he was vice president, quite frankly, and never had any ability to declassify documents. But we're only concerned about the former president.
No, Congressman, I get the what about it. I get the what about is, and what I'm wondering though is for even someone who is supporting another candidate for president, you don't think Donald Trump is the best person to be the next president of the United States. It is still impossible for you to criticize him and say, hey, look, having classified documents and keeping them, even when the government asks for them back, is still impossible to do. What power does Donald Trump still hold?
Well, Donald Trump has the ability, by virtue of being president, or did have the ability to declassify documents by his actions. And so, I haven't seen those documents. I don't know the particulars on those documents. However, fair-minded people will recognize that they want justice. They want a justice system that applies equally to everyone. They want everyone to be treated equally under the law. We certainly have not seen that. And you cannot separate that, Leland. You cannot separate how previous presidents have been treated when they've had classified documents that have been in question after they left the White House, whether it was Obama, whether it was Clinton, or a former Secretary of State who happened to be a presidential candidate. You cannot separate how they were treated and how President Biden is not being treated with how President Trump is being treated.
All right. Congressman, I'll give you the last word on this. I know you're supporting Ron DeSantis. I'm wondering what you make of him criticizing the 3 Supreme Court justices that Donald Trump appointed. One of the big things that conservatives have hailed is the overturning of Roe v. Wade. You believe that the justices that President Trump supported aren't conservative enough? This should just somehow be a litmus test of appointing people who, no matter what, have no thought and only vote a certain way?
Well, I don't shy away from taking on an issue, but I did see what he specifically said about those justices. I will say President Trump was excellent on the justices that he appointed. However, Ron DeSantis is excellent on the life issue. Here he's doing the heartbeat bill, signing a heartbeat bill in in Florida, not California, but in Florida, while many Republicans are running away from the issue. He is standing strong on the life issue, uncompromised, unashamed, just like he is on the concealed carry issue that he signed into law in Florida. He has done that courageously for his 5 years as governor. He'll continue to do that. He's America's governor. He's an example for the country.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Ron DeSantis is running to the right of Donald Trump right now, especially on the issue of abortion. Congressman Good, it's good to see you. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.